Good evening, and firstly, thank you for showing some interest in the project. This is the first of what I hope to be many videos about vEFPS as the development unfolds and we start to work towards a production release. But what I wanted to do is take a bit of an opportunity to show people in real time some of the happenings of the application. I know that many people have been quite curious of the project and interacted with me in the VATSIM UK Discord, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for your support. But what's only been shown historically are static representations of the application, and as I'm sure many people would agree, seeing is believing, and so I'm hoping to share to you today, or with you, I should say, some of the functionality that we've been working on, really focusing on two areas. So firstly, I'm going to take a slightly more technical dive into the application, show you guys a test harness that we've put together that depicts some of the messaging architecture, and just a couple of points on extensibility, and then focus on some of the strip management actions that we've been working on in real time. Incidentally, in the recording of this, I've seen a couple of bugs, things that I need to go and work on, and so I'll get to those. That's what we call the curse of the demo in the industry. So jumping straight into it, I want to start with this console application down here. So for those who are of a more technical nature, you will see that we are relying on RabbitMQ. Rabbit is a very quick messaging architecture, very performant, deals very well with scaling applications and the exchange of very high quantities of messages. I've been quite impressed with it so far. But what I have here is a test harness that allows me to send messages into vEFPS. And really, this is kind of the basis of emulating messages that come from Euroscope. So the message structure that I've put here, just with some pipe limited strings or characters, is exactly the same messaging architecture that we're using in the plugin to fetch data from Euroscope. And so if I hit this, then we can see that the message is sent. It should have been processed. Curse again of the demo, absolutely nothing happened, because I think that's meant to say clear ans, perhaps? Yes. So we see version 1.2 Zulu has moved into the next bay. But my point here is you can see the extensibility of the system. We have this format for messages, and any new messages that we might need to either receive from Euroscope, send to Euroscope, or just exchange within other application users for things that won't go to Euroscope. We have the capability to exchange those messages. And the other quick comment here is regarding performance. So if I hit enter with that, you can see it takes maybe a second for that strip action to take place. And for those that are curious, the exact steps that we go through there are: the message is received by a consumer. That consumer validates the message, identifies the message type, processes that message centrally within the hub, and then distributes copies of that messages to the relevant audience. And that's really based on group membership. I'm not going to go too far into that just now. But we have this very extensible framework, and I've been certainly very happy with the performance of the application. Interestingly, if I just hide this console application, all of the data that you're seeing here is from Euroscope. So I hooked our plugin up to Euroscope earlier today. I sat and watched Controlling a Heathrow for, I don't know, 10 minutes, something like that. And the strips that you see here, not necessarily in the state that you see them in, but the strips and the data that's in them came from Euroscope. There are some errors with that data. So, for example, you can see the Speedbird 736 at the top of the cleared bay doesn't have a known runway, doesn't have a known SID. And again, that's the mechanism by which I've retrieved that data, but it's not really a valid use case. There's not, in quotes, a bug to fix. That's just an artifact, really, of our testing. And so that messaging architecture, very powerful, lets us do lots of different things. And we've seen quite a lot of good use in that. We're seeing on average thousands of messages a minute being processed from Euroscope during busy periods, and that's just for one user of vEFPS, one instance of the plugin. And what we're working on separately is a better version of that test harness that's going to allow us to flood the application with messages and just prove performance in that area. But of course, getting data from Euroscope, sending data to Euroscope is really only a very small part of the puzzle. And what we're actually dealing with is the ability to manage strips here in what we call the strip canvas. Now, Those of you who have used similar products before that we in the project refer to as the enemy, you will have seen that there is a SID box. I appreciate it's styled horrifically badly at the moment, but you'll be familiar with the concept of SID trigger. I'm told that that's a genuine term that's used in the industry by users of the system who, which this is principally modelled from. A quick note on that: we're not really targeting one system. We're trying to take ideas and features from lots of different systems, real EFPS systems, and combine them into our platform. This mostly looks at the moment like the strip management tools that you would see in use at Heathrow or at Manchester. Lots of videos online of those that you can go and compare and contrast with. It is not a direct rip-off. It is what we're saying is inspired by, and certainly some of that other functionality will come to the fore in the future. But we can SID trigger. We can see an aircraft gets pushed into the next bay. It appears at the top of that bay on the basis that strips should be worked from the bottom up. And we have that functionality enshrined in a workflow. That workflow inhibits certain actions. For example, it's not possible to SID trigger somebody into the runway bay. You have to put that strip there manually. We can SID trigger out of the runway bay, and we know that for departures, that means going to the airborne departures. From arrivals, it means coming into the taxi bay. But we can select a strip. That strip will be automatically deselected after 3 seconds. I can move that strip either by clicking into the bay itself or by clicking on the bay header slightly further up. We also have the capability, and this is really what I've been working on this week, to reorder strips in a bay. So by default, a strip that gets pushed to a bay appears, as I said, at the top. But if I decide that actually that Wizz Air is of critical importance, I can replace it with the American by simply selecting one strip and clicking on the target that I want to absorb the position of, and everything else in the bay gets moved up. We have taken some liberties. I think there are some things that we can do that aren't possible in the real world in terms of strip management, but given the nature of what we're doing on VATSIM, that's kind of a concession that we're prepared to make. But principally, very happy with the way that this is going. There is absolutely still some work to be done. Features and functionality that we're planning on, strip removal. So right now, if I spam this SID trigger for this airborne departure, you can see down here it's trying to update but doesn't know what to do. So we need to do strip removal for both arrivals and departures. We need to start exchanging some of this data back with the hub and then into Euroscope, and I'm pleased to say the framework for that already exists, but that's going to be quite a lot of repetitive functionality to hook that up. And then some styling work to be done. And then removing lots of kind of the test baggage. So at the moment, this only works with Heathrow, regardless of what position you're actually controlling. All of this weather data is completely fake, and we have fun things like static 2-3 right for Manchester, when obviously this is actually looking at Heathrow. So work to be done, but we are ploughing ahead. Very grateful again for the support that many of you have shown so far. There absolutely is more to come, and I plan to be doing some more of these videos quite soon. And I'm hoping that this is the year that we get this out to you guys to use and abuse. For this video, I'll likely disable comments, only on the basis that it's just going to be a repeat of what I think we're hoping to see in the Discord. Happy for people to engage with me there in the VATSIM UK Discord. And what I'll probably do is about a week, maybe 2, before we're planning to open this up for production use, we'll probably start advertising our project Discord. And soliciting some questions in there. We've got an FAQ already on our website, which you can look at vEFPS.io. Other than that, thank you for watching, and hopefully another of these videos will follow soon. TM.